What if I told you that the most profound spiritual journey you could ever take doesn't involve climbing a mountain or retreating to some far-off monastery? What if it happens right where you are, right now, in the middle of your everyday life? Well, today we're going to explore a really radical path to finding the divine, not by escaping the world, but by embracing it, with this incredibly powerful, transformative love. And this powerful idea, it comes from the mystic poet Kabir. Hundreds of years ago, he was challenging the whole notion of renunciation. For him, the home, your family, your community, these weren't obstacles to enlightenment. No, they were the very ground where it could blossom. So this is really the central question we're tackling today, isn't it? What if that escape we think we need is actually just a distraction? What if the real work, the real joy, is found by staying put and just changing our consciousness, not our address?
Okay, so we're unpacking a philosophy where truth isn't found by saying no to life, but by giving it a total, resounding yes. It's a path of celebration, where love is the master key that unlocks every single door, right in the heart of your own home.
But first, we really have to understand the problem this path is trying to solve. The core idea here is that most of what we call religion has become a kind of illness, a pathology. And the root of this illness? It's what the Source calls the sickness of imitation. Now, this is such a crucial distinction. It draws this really sharp line between an original, direct experience and just a secondhand belief. You see, a Christ or a Buddha has a personal, authentic realization of truth, but a Christian or a Buddhist is often just repeating a creed, becoming a carbon copy of a truth they haven't actually lived for themselves. And this, right here, is where the real trouble begins. When you adopt a label without that personal realization, it creates this deep inner conflict. You end up being one thing deep down while pretending to be something else entirely on the surface. This creates what the Source calls a split personality, and that is the very root of anxiety and neurosis. And this inner split, it has real, painful consequences. Life becomes something to be endured, not celebrated. We end up living crippled by rules, constantly feeling guilty for not living up to some impossible ideal. We become hypocrites, wearing a mask, pretending to be something we're not. And this just prevents us from ever reaching our peak, from truly living at our maximum potential. So, if that's the problem, what's the journey out of it? Well, this philosophy offers a really powerful metaphor for the spiritual search. It breaks it down into 4 distinct stages of consciousness. You can think of it like a map, one that guides us from being asleep to being fully awake. So here they are: the jungle, which is a state of unconscious sleep; then the forest, a state of conscious searching; then the garden, where you really begin to awaken; and finally, you arrive at the home, which is a state of pure being. Now, most of humanity starts out in the jungle and the forest, but it's key to understand the whole path. So let's start where most people are. Okay, stage 1, the jungle. This is a state of deep, deep sleep. Life is just mechanical, a series of unconscious reactions. People here are like sleepwalkers, just clinging to the past and to the answers given to them by society and by priests. The absolute tragedy of this stage is that a person can live and die and, as one phrase puts it, be returned unopened. Then we have stage 2, the forest, which is a huge step up. Here, the search has begun, but it's chaotic. Instead of one answer, there are suddenly way too many. This is the realm of the seeker, the artist, the revolutionary, always looking for some future utopia. They're kind of lost in a spiritual supermarket, trying a bit of this, a bit of that, but not yet finding their center. It's confusing, for sure, but there's movement, and that makes all the difference. So where does all this searching lead? This movement out of the jungle and through the forest, it's heading somewhere really profound. And the goal isn't more complexity or more rules, but a state of simple, spontaneous ecstasy. The term for this is Sahaj Samadhi, which means spontaneous ecstasy. It's not something you achieve through intense, rigid practice. It's something you actually relax into. Think of it like finding a state of flow or being in the zone, but for your entire being. It's this natural union with life that just arises when you stop forcing things and simply remember who you truly are. And this quote from Kabir, it just perfectly captures the feeling of this state. It's not about shutting the world out. It's about being radically open to it. It's seeing with your eyes wide open, smiling, and seeing divine beauty absolutely everywhere. So the crucial point here is this. This is a path that just screams yes to life. It's a path of celebration, not self-torture. It's about finding the divine not by escaping your senses, but by diving into them. Every sight, every sound, every touch can become an act of worship. And that brings us to the most profound and maybe the most difficult piece of advice in this entire philosophy. We've mapped the journey from the jungle through the forest and toward the garden and the home, but where is that final destination really? Well, here's the ultimate twist. You're already there. The destination isn't a new location, it's a new way of being in your current one. The goal isn't to get somewhere, it's to realize where you've been all along. And Kabir's final wisdom brings us right back to the beginning. Stay where you are. Stop the frantic search. Settle into your own life, your own home, and just let truth come to you. Now, this isn't about laziness. It's actually the highest form of spiritual practice. Because as this chart shows so beautifully, all that effort, all that striving, it's often just the ego in disguise trying to possess and conquer even the divine. But waiting, well, waiting is egoless. It's passive. It's receptive. It's not about aggressively grabbing for truth, but about becoming a womb, an open, sacred space where the divine can finally be born inside you. And that leaves us with this final, really provocative question. In a world that is constantly screaming at us to strive, to hustle, to search, what if the deepest secret, the true master key, is just to be still? To be present, and to wait with a wide open heart? What if that is the true path of love?